sounds to go back underneath.
Yeah, he could.
I'm recording, right, Con?
Alright, go ahead, yeah. I'm gonna come right a little bit more.
Yeah, tell him to go back underneath.
Alright, he's underneath.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I can't see anything. Now, the guy to the north, if he can exit.
Coming out.
Alright, stand by while I reposition.
There it goes.
Alright, I see you out there. Now go ahead and go back underneath.
Welcome back. In the first episode, we talked a little bit about the basics of thermal imaging. And in this episode, we're going to talk about ways that you can possibly evade thermal imaging. Now, I posted the first video on a number of forums, and I got a lot of feedback and some ideas on different things that might or might not evade thermal. Some of them were good, some were not so good, and others were nearly right on the mark from what I was thinking. So what I decided to do was take a number of these objects and put them in front of a thermal imager so that you could see how they looked. And the very first thing that I did was I went out and I bought a piece of glass to show you what it looks like in front of a thermal imager. As you can see, in visible light, you can see right through the glass. In thermal, like I said in the first video, the glass appears as just a black monolith. It's totally uniform, so it would stand out quite a bit if you're trying to hide behind it. Here's the reflective properties of glass when it comes to heat. I put my hand on the other side of the glass to show you how as the glass heats up, it will also start to glow. An interesting thing I found out was that even after a minute, my handprint was still visible. Even after 2 minutes, the handprint was still visible. In fact, it took almost 5 minutes for the handprint to almost completely disappear. So glass is not exactly the thing that you're going to want to hide behind if you're trying to evade a thermal imager. The second suggestion that I received was tinfoil. Now, tinfoil and space blankets have high emissivities, which means they reflect almost all heat. That makes them a great mask to a thermal imager, but the problem with either one is, well, they're tinfoil. In visible light, they stick out like a sore thumb. So how are you going to hide with that? Seriously. What kind of camouflage is that? Tinfoil and space blankets also have another issue. Just like glass, they kind of appear as a black hole because they're highly emissive and somewhat uniform. So what is the answer? Can you hide from thermal? And the answer is, I believe so. But it involves a mixture of something like a highly emissive tinfoil and something else. Here's what I did. I took one layer of highly emissive material, in this case tinfoil, because I did not want to cut up another space blanket. I put some Primaloft insulation around it. I covered it with another layer of tinfoil, and then put some nylon multicam on the outside. The thought behind it is that the first layer of tinfoil is going to reflect most of the heat back to the body. Whatever makes it through the tinfoil is going to get trapped in the Primaloft insulation. And finally, if it gets to the last layer of tinfoil, it's going to reflect most of that back. That leaves the outside material, in this case the nylon multicam, to take on the temperature of the environment and hopefully blend in. What I ended up with was a glove of sorts. Something I could quickly mock up for this video. So I put my hand in it, and if you recall the first video, just about instant I put my hand in the glove, it began to change. That's not the case with this glove. After 5 minutes, the glove still has no change to it, so I decided to take my hand and put it on the glove and see what would happen. And I was somewhat surprised that when I removed my hand, yes, my handprint was there, but it quickly dissipated. Remember the glass that took over 5 minutes. After 10 minutes, still no change in the glove. Again, put my hand on there, remove it, disappears. What I ended up with was something that looks like this. And I know you're saying, I know, this huge monstrosity. This is just a mock-up. You could easily get this down to the size of, say, a big pair of winter mittens. But that's not the point. The point is it defeated the thermal. And you could just as easily take something like this. Now you've seen me wear this in some of the videos. It's a copy of the Kifaru Wooby, and add in a layer of mylar on both ends of it, and now you have a whole cloak that makes you disappear in front of thermal. This is something that's very practical. You use this as kind of like an overcoat, and then when you go and it's nighttime, you can lay it down, and it's a sleeping pad that keeps you insulated from the ground. And the addition of the mylar in there will only make it warmer and only make it more waterproof. So I think I'm going to go ahead and take this another step further in another video and mock up a full-size one and see how that works. Well, that brings us to the end of part 2, Eye of the Drones, Evading Thermal. Thanks for watching. Please be sure to subscribe to the channel for future updates on thermal imaging and evading thermal imaging, as well as our gun reviews and gear reviews. As always, I welcome any comments and questions you might have in the comments section below. Thanks for watching.